Dispatches from Deep Space Nine.
Welcome back to Dispatches from Deep Space Nine. I'm Chad.
I'm Ben.
Ben, what did you think about Captive Pursuit?
Well, I have a question, but it relates to the ending moments of this episode.
Sure.
So that's a spoiler for the episode, I guess.
Oh my God. The people that are listening to this, they listen along with this while the episode is happening, which is a problem sometimes because they don't time out to the length of the episode. And it also doesn't go along with anything that's happening in the episode as it's happening. So we have a list. It shows you at what speed you need to play back our episodes at to match up to each Deep Space Nine episode.
Really?
Yeah. Very complicated mathematical equations had to go into this.
Okay. All right, well then I'm going to talk about the spoiler because it seems like you're giving me permission, although you're just grabbing a fictional thing.
Yeah.
So at the end, Tosk shoots the hunters.
Who's Tosk?
Okay. I mean, then starting at the beginning, Tosk is a person who looks like Bosk, the Star Wars character, and his name sounds like Bosk, the Star Wars character, but he's a much more interesting, complex character though.
Well, apparently, I think it appears to be a complete just happenstance.
Sure. I mean, okay, sure, yeah.
Michael Westmoreland, who designed this, said that Tosk was designed based on an alligator that he saw in the Smithsonian magazine.
Okay.
That was it.
You said this at the time, but like when we first saw him, I like the whatever they did. Yeah. This episode, it was good. Mr. Westmoreland did a great job. I like the Tosk.
He won an Emmy for this.
Oh well, I mean, he was more regular Star Trek, but they spent some budget. Like my running objection is they put one piece of shit on everyone's face, and then they called it maybe two. Like they have the janky earring.
I mean, at the top of the episode, they had the Dabo girl, which actually that was. How does that relate to the rest of the episode?
Well, because I
just remembered that it happened.
There were a few things. I mean, there was nothing really, just to say Quark is a jerk, I guess. He's trying to have sex with a woman who he hired as a waitress.
He is, or somebody else is? I can't remember now. But
yeah, it was in the contract.
It was in the contract that she has to have sex with him, and he said, "Don't worry, I'm going to talk to her about this because this is fucked up."
Yeah. And you pointed that he was interrupted before he could say anything explicit.
Yeah.
It's Captain Sisko.
Does that have anything to do with the morals or themes in the rest of this episode?
Well, at the end of the episode, they say, or Sisko says our first contact will be an assault. And technically that is what happened with the Dabo girl. And I guess Quark or Rom or whoever is the staff member who is asking for sex from the Dabo girl. But there was some other like really very loose tie-in between the words they used in that opening scene. But again, I don't think there's any connection. I think the answer is no, there's no connection. It's just, isn't Quark crazy? He tried to put in the fine print prostitution.
Yeah, that she didn't understand because Ferengi contracts are long.
Yeah. But there was something else she said, I don't remember, but I feel like there was another callback to that first scene. But again, I don't think, maybe that was just more me finding a pattern in the episode if it was. But I mean, we see her later. Don't we see her? No, actually, no, she shouldn't be working the Dabo. We see that there's nobody at the Dabo. She's not at the Dabo toilet. She doesn't want to work with them.
I mean, like, it's I think it's a pretty good episode, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that beginning scene is just completely just doesn't work with the rest of the episode.
Well,
it's really, yeah.
As you pointed out, she had like a bald head and heavy hair coming out of it and nose stuff going on. She looked cool.
Yeah, she passed your test.
Yeah.
She had enough shit on her head.
She had like a cool bald head and like fur and feathers around it and stuff going on with her nose. And yeah. And usually it's much less than that, or it's usually the earring and a nose bridge thing. But yeah, I really like the costumes in this episode. I really like the onesie that Tosk wore, and I like that Tosk was a completely 3D animal creature thing and not just a few appliances applied to a face haphazardly. And I really liked Jarrett Graham's brow ridges and hair and his thing. And I also like that when he and his posse first showed up, they were wearing these like Power Rangers helmets, and they had these like the television show from the 80s like things, and they had the light up bands around their diagonally across their chest. And yeah, it was just the best costuming probably outside of Morn in this series so far.
It was interesting. Like I thought his costume Tosk was good, you know, and his makeup was obviously very good. I thought that their costumes when they showed up were a little silly.
Yeah,
but it's okay. But their makeup was very good. Like I thought that was very good. And Gary Graham's great in this episode. And for those that don't know, Garrett Graham came to Memphis, where me and Ben live, and me and my buddy Sam Bear chauffeured him around town because he was in town for a screening of Phantom of the Paradise that we put on, and he is an amazing human being, and so it was good to see him in this episode. One of his 2, I believe, Star Trek appearances. Another famous one where he shows up in Voyager as a Q, and he's a Q who is suicidal.
Oh wow.
He desperately wants to die because, you know, they famously cannot die. So, yeah, he's very good in this, and he's amazing in that episode. I forget what it's called, but the Q episode.
Yeah, I really liked him. He's very briefly here, but he was great.
What did you think about Cole Meany in the episode?
Okay. For one, you know,
yeah.
you laughed every time they mentioned. Everybody was like, "You're having problems with your wife, aren't you, O'Brien?" You know.
Yeah.
And I would have liked. That's my one criticism of. I feel like, you know, I want to spend more time with Tosk and Jarrett Graham's character, and you know, it's a traditional Star Trek style episode, and it's just like you have a very brief amount of time. You have a puzzle a lot of times with an alien species, and then O'Brien. It makes sense for Sisko to say, "Hey, O'Brien, you know, you're an engineer. This guy seems to get along with engineers. Why don't you go hang out with him and tell us, you know, what's going on with him?" This is a relaxed way to take care of, as you know, a first contact, as they say, you know, like, but they're going to relax the rules. But then, as the episode goes on, Sisko only meets with Tosk when he's in prison. Like, I know it's a very busy station, but it's just like, I mean, it is a first contact, and you're just like, it is a very engineer, and the engineer's cracking jokes. He's just like, we'll it's a piece of cake, and then like, you know, but like, and then he like laughs and chuckles, and he's expecting him to understand sarcasm, and the guy's like clearly pattern after people who are not relating along lines of humor and laughter, and he is it's just I felt like, you know, Sisko is too busy, and he should have assigned, you know, like the doctor Bashir. He comes up and he's like, people relax when they talk to their doctor. Nothing ever comes of that. Maybe it's a deleted scene or something, but it's just like there wasn't enough time. I like what they're doing with O'Brien. I like O'Brien. I like Colm Meaney, but I'm just saying it seemed like dropping the first contact onto your engineer who's already overworked, who starts every episode complaining about how he's overworked, and
Yeah.
it seemed that it was a tactical mistake on the part of Cisco. That's all.
Well, I mean, it seems like it worked out well enough.
Well, I mean, they did. Again, I have a question about the end of the episode. Is it okay to ask you that, or should we wait till the end of the episode?
Well, I mean, we can go ahead and get into that. I mean, I guess they do kill those people, right?
Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, they killed those dudes. They killed 3 people.
Well, I mean, they did not. Tosk did.
Sure.
And if they would not have been there, Tosk was well within his ability to kill them, and his ability and his right to do so in their society. According to this ritual.
But isn't it a good idea to just have them not kill each other?
It is, but it can't always happen and that's why Cisco's pissed at him at the end, because he's like, well, you allowed a lot of this stuff to happen, but at the same time, and it's the whole point in Star Trek is moral conundrums.
And also relating to other cultures and understanding them, going the extra mile to understand another culture, and in a first contact situation, understanding. Yeah, but
because those dudes, the Garrett Graham's character was fucking pissed at him for interfering with it at all.
Yeah, he was gonna put him in a little cage and have children laugh at him for the rest of his life.
Yeah, and throw scraps at him.
Yeah, but
and Tosk was sad about that outcome. Everybody was sad about it. The entirety of their civilization apparently would have been sad about this outcome.
But I mean, again, from our perspective, from a non-Tosk perspective, and I don't know what the other. It seemed like there was a different group. Was the Hunters?
I think they're just called the Hunters.
Yeah. Like maybe they're suicidal. Like maybe like the other character that you talked about. Maybe they're like, they just are going to die in this hunt no matter what. I mean, Toss certainly wanted to die with honor. Like that was their whole.
Well, it is much like when they have to deal with Klingons. Sometimes the right answer is to let them kill each other, because otherwise it ends up being 10 times worse.
Well, it seemed like, and that's fair. But just to go further with my point, I just want to say
because it's our morals and stuff. But yes, go ahead.
Sure, it's our morals. But like, what if the episode presented us with like what is worse, 3 people dying, or Toss spending the rest of his life in a little cage? And I mean, you could argue that that's worse for him to live out his days in a cage where children laugh at him and toss him scraps. But I would argue that 3 people dying is worse.
Well, of course, and according to our morals, that is incorrect. But according to them, much like Klingons, they're like, they would rather die than have to be in a dishonorable situation for the rest of their life.
And then like I forget where I was going with it, but just like I don't know, they are I don't know. I feel like we are biased because we've started the episode with Tosk, and
yes,
and I'm a little bit biased towards the Hunters because I really like Jarrett Graham's makeup. I thought it was really cool, and I like the swept back hair and it just in the furrowed brow or whatever the ridges in the brow. But anyway, what I think I'm just saying is that O'Brien is an accessory to murder.
That will not be the last time.
Yeah, and so is Cisco. And then he's just at the end of it, he's just like he did like we talked about how bad or how tonally awkward was the end of episode 2 or 3. I think it's 2 or technically 3, where Mrs. O'Brien, Kiko O'Brien, starts her school, and then I think Cisco smiles on the school, and it's just like so tonally silly in an episode where it's like clone murder, like it's just like. And so in this one, the smile at the end that Cisco makes about O'Brien's like, well, you could have just stopped us in the corridor, but you didn't. after he dresses him down. But and then there's this smile like, we really helped this guy murder these 3 people. Again, they live in a world full of different cultures, aliens, all this stuff, and it's been a while for me since I've encountered.
There's like 20 different like species that we just saw in this episode probably, and they all live on this station together, and they all have wildly different views of the universe and how they fit into it.
Yeah, and
so many of them would not bat an eye about 3 dead bodies being dragged to the promenade. They'd be like, and some of them would be really like horrified and mortified by it.
Yeah.
And those people would be like Federation people that are supposed to be like us, that we would be very sad about this. But tons of people would just go, this makes sense.
And that is true. Again, I think I've brought this up in a podcast review before, but I read this book that I loved from the Germantown Public Library about Captain Cook. And it was just a detailed account of Captain Cook's voyages around the world. And when you get to it's just an account of a lot of first contacts between Captain Cook, British, captain charged with like finding, some sort of paradise that was supposed to be around Antarctica, and then South Pacific peoples who did not have experiences with British colonialism and capitalism and sense of, property rights. And, they ended up, the British would, kill people over, somebody picking up an item of theirs, which the people would not understand, and then that would end in murder, and it would be bad. And that was a good example of a first contact where it's just like people had different rules and they led to death. And those rules overall are culturally you can relate to them or not, and they're dumb. Obviously, in retrospect, no one needs to die over theft. But anyway,
it's a classic first contact episode where you don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
some alien is gonna do something that you don't necessarily agree with, and that's part of what being in Starfleet is just going, that's sometimes what happens. There's nothing you can really do to control it. Sisko went along with O'Brien's thing in a backward sort of way, only because he trusted O'Brien. That's it.
Yeah.
And in the end, O'Brien probably did make the most correct version of these events that he could possibly have play out.
Well, we could have said, hey, it's not our culture to kill each other on the ship. Follow our culture, respect our culture.
But then they would have just said, fuck you. It's like, it's easy for us to try to impose our will on them, but then it's different when they try to impose their will on us, and we're seeing a lot of that right now. But it is Colm Meaney's favorite episode of this season.
Okay. I really liked the way that the suspense about Tosk was built. I was thinking he was up to no good. I was thinking he was going to turn from a sympathetic to an unsympathetic character. I would be very unhappy if he was murdered at the end of the episode, or if he just went back. I was like, they got to the end, they're like, all right, we're going to take him back, put him in a tiny cage. We're very upset that he's not hunted. We're going to get to hunt him. And then, then I saw that there was like 10, 15 minutes left. I was like, it's too early for it to wrap up. And so, and anyway, I would be unhappy if they killed Tosk, and I could see it ending like that. And I did like, I also liked, there was a moment, it's a really silly moment. There are two moments. One, Quark he meets Tosk and he says something inspirational to him in the bar. Like he just has a line delivery. It's Armin Shimmerman, and he's just like, you're cool. Tosk is like, I don't want to have a holosuite experience. I'm living an adventure right now, a great adventure. And then Armin Shimmerman, instead of trying to sell him something, just says, that's great. I don't know what the line is, but it's a great line. It's delivered really well. The guy, Armin Shimmerman, is great. And then I also really liked Odo. We both laughed at it. Odo does something. he turns around talking to Sisko, and I think Sisko tells him, not to.
Oh, he's basically like, just kind of, you can take your time putting up those force fields in between the different decks, and then it's like it keeps cutting back and forth from Cisco on the same shot to a kind of a long shot of Odo, and then Odo will stop and look back slowly at Cisco, and then look back ahead, and then his gait will become even slower until he finally crawls all the way to the turbo lift, turns around very slowly, looks at Cisco, and then we cut before the turbo lift even goes down.
Yeah.
It's good.
Well, it's just Rene Auberjonois. I don't know how to pronounce the man's name. The character I know him from Benson, and he's in a million different things. He's on Charlie's Angels. He's very lanky, and he's always usually a nerd or dweeb character. He's somebody who's, at least as I know him, like he's not a tough guy like he is here, I think he's supposed to be a tough guy, and he definitely is. He's definitely a hard dude. But I really love like his body moved when he had to do like the take to understand the innuendo coming from Cisco, and it just was like, it was very funny. But then at the same time, my mind just like, he has such a like beige casual wear outfit on, and his face has almost no features, like purposely. He has earlobes, you can see that his ears are completely flat, and it's just like, it's such a like perverse choice to make him have almost no details on his clothing, on his face. He's got his eyes and his lankiness, and that's it. It's really strange. It's like a really strange decision, and I'm sure I just don't know. I just don't know what's going on with that character. But I like him.
You'll see. There are reasons for all of this.
I mean, I know that basically every time he comes up, it's like Casablanca, where he's like, I'm in charge of this thing, and it's the promenade, and go on the promenade. And
you love the word promenade now.
It is a very silly word for them to repeat. I should look up the etymology of it. I mean, it's the place where you walk, right? It's just like, why is there, can they come up with another place to talk about? Like, they call it the mall. they could have Quark's place. But yeah, I don't know. It's like people are always walking, but where are they going?
To the different shops and vendors.
Yeah.
On the promenade.
Yeah. But I would like to spend more time with Tosk, and also I would like Tosk to not have just pulled out this long weapon. I don't know if it's long. It looked like almost a musical instrument of like two.
It was like a crossbow that was turned sideways.
Okay. And then he just shot them. I mean, it's just like, that's what all violence is you just shoot the guy when they don't see you. Like that's
one thing I did like is that, there's often a problem in shows where it'll be like, oh, this person's really strong, and you're just told over and over again, like, oh, this person's really good at doing whatever, and they don't actually like show you doing it. But then sometimes, and you see it in this episode, and you see this a lot in Star Trek because they do this to Worf too, where he's the super strong character, and in order to show that someone else is really strong, they have to beat up Worf. And so Worf gets the shit kicked out of him all the fucking time. And so the same thing is going to happen to Odo. So we see Odo, and he's like, big, strong guy. He can throw people around or whatever because he's like a changeling and stuff. And, but then, right here, you see him, guy grabs him, throws his ass across the room. What I like in this episode, though, about the one-off character of Tosk is that, once you start to find out what's going on, it's like, oh, Hunter hunted, and it's like, oh, I guess all he really has is that he can like turn invisible or something. But then by the end of the episode, he's fucking jumping over fucking O'Brien and like beating the shit out of that one dude, takes his weapon, goes and kills those other three dudes. And the show demonstrates that it's like, oh, this is what it's actually supposed to be like. They're supposed to have, he's really good at fighting back, and this team of people has to come and get him and kill him, and this is part of their fucking ritual or whatever. But throughout most of the episode, you're thinking, oh, he's like a meek little thing, and then by the end of it, you're like, oh no, it's supposed to be this big grand thing that they go on, and then it makes even more sense why those people are so disappointed by it. In that seeing him in a cell, it's like, oh, he's supposed to be this big, powerful kind of creature that we have to try to hunt down, and it's this big event. And now he's just stuck in this fucking cage, like he's about to be for the rest of his life once we take him the fuck back. So I like that aspect of it, being the telling that stuff over time and telling it physically rather than just telling us. That worked. That he's good at stuff.
I see the warping of Odo in that after he got thrown, he was like, I think he refused a gun, and then he was like, they must want that guy. They must want Tusk. What? Oh yeah, he's Batman.
He's Batman. Yeah, he doesn't. I don't use guns.
But it seemed like he was running away after he got. Like he was hiding behind something. He was like, he said something about like, oh, they want that guy in the security thing.
They said, I know they wanted Tusk. That's it. Yeah. And he's like hiding back there.
Yeah.
There's some big explosion, and then he catches Kira, and you said it's like, oh, it's Han Solo and Princess Leia in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, because he seemed like they could have staged that in a way that the actress probably didn't want to be grabbed when she's doing a stunt. But the other thing that struck me is, again, this is really down to the way in which violence happens in shows. It's like they're having a conversation with O'Brien, and it's all in the rules of the game. And I also like where Quark was like, hey, Quark is like, I'll help you. Just talk to me at the bar. And O'Brien's like, I don't want to talk to you, Quark. You're terrible. That was the subtext. Yeah. And then he's like, well, and then he says the phrase, the rules of the game. And then O'Brien's like, yeah, oh, I've got it. We'll change the rules. And then he goes off and is an accessory to murder. But then it has like this silly little bit. Again, too much. That scene was great. Again, I think it's just Armin Shimmerman and Colm Meaney just making it sing. But like then it has a ha ha moment where Quark goes over to another patron and they're drunk and he's like,
yeah, he's face down. And he's like, how do I fix you?
Yeah,
kind of thing.
And but I like the bit where it was unexpected that Quark could actually help him, and I thought that was a nice thing and true to it's something from life, sort of. And but again, what it made me think of is, again, this is unsupported by the text, but it's just like I read an account of World War I pilots, and they said a lot of times all it would be is you get behind the other World War I fighter plane pilot if you're the Red Baron, and you just shoot them in the back. And they just fall to the earth and die, and they don't hear you because they're it's World War I, and you're up in the air and you can't hear them, and you either come at them with the sun behind you so they can't see you, or you just sneak up on them and shoot them.
Yeah.
And like that's World War I plane fighting, according to a book that I half remember that I read when I was a kid. But like, and I just thought that that is not very chivalrous. But again, what's a good way to murder somebody in a hallway with guns? And it's like they're having a conversation with O'Brien. They're like, hey, O'Brien, he's ours. And then he just pulls out a crossbow and kills them all.
They were about to kill him. It's like, okay.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, that's fair. That's fair. Again, I don't mean to belabor the point. I've already belabored the point. I'll stop. But
I will say that now that we've seen this episode, we can say that Garrett Graham, Renee Auberjonois, and Andrew Robinson, who plays Garrick, all went out for Odo. They all tried to get that same role.
Oh.
And cool that they're all in the first half dozen episodes of this show.
Yeah, trying to imagine that.
Yeah, Garrett Graham as Odo. I mean, he could do a version of it, but I really like the version of it that we have.
I'm still having a hard time reading on who Odo is supposed to be besides a Casablancan tough guy figure who can shapeshift and has no features on his face and no features in his clothing.
You'll see.
But Garrett Graham would be neat as a recurring character.
I don't think he'd be able to play it as cool and as like cool fascistic as Auberjonoux does.
Yeah.
I think Andrew Robinson could have, but I think he's much better as Garrick.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Any other thoughts on the episode as we kind of wrap it up here?
No, I mean, I don't know if we missed anything. We talked about most of the scenes.
It's a fairly straightforward, Star Trek episode, and that's okay. I mean, it's not bad. It's good.
No, it was solid. It was
a solid episode.
I think I still rank Clone Murder the highest, maybe.
That would make sense. It is the weirdest one thus far. And but I will say before we get out of here, the director of this episode said that this episode was intended to move away from the quote squeaky clean plots of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Okay, squeaky clean. Oh, because of the murder?
I think because of the murder and other stuff, and having the lady in the beginning. I don't know what that had to do with anything, but having the lady in the beginning with the prostitution thing or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah,
they're trying to show. Okay, this isn't going to be just like the other Star Treks, and like most first seasons of Star Trek, it kind of just is that. But they are slowly starting to move away from it just being TNG again.
It accomplished that. It was solid in terms of, I guess it really did kind of make me a little upset that these innocent hunters who just wanted to kill
these innocent hunters that are coming to they're getting up to murder this one guy who's been bred for his sole purpose is to be murdered. You feel bad for these hunters.
Yeah. Well, it's just like it's not that I feel bad for them. It's just that I don't believe in capital punishment. I guess
I don't either. But
so it's just like they shouldn't. Like, not on my space station. I don't want people to be murdered for any reason. Even if they are murderers.
On a Cardassian space station that's owned by Bajor.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. I don't know.
It's Tosk's life. We're just living it.
Sure. Yeah. We are Tosk.
Opening and closing music courtesy of Lewis Humanoid 2 on YouTube. Go check them out.